Hello my brothers and sisters in Christ and the others that may watch. This is TruthAdviser. Today I decided I'm going to tell you about my testimony. So, I was born in Mississippi, and people will usually make fun of me about that, but that's okay. I forgive them. My parents had a head knowledge of God. We would go to church occasionally, on like Easter or Christmas, some kind of special event, but not much after that. When I was 9 years old, I was baptized, which it didn't mean anything because I didn't have faith in Jesus Christ. I wasn't saved at that time. So it was really nothing more than being put under water. And when I was 12 years old, or by the time I was 12 years old, I'd found out that there was no Santa Claus and that my parents had lied to me about Santa Claus. And so I said, hey, maybe my parents lied to me about this God thing too. And so I became an atheist and believed that there was no God, that there possibly couldn't be a God. And whenever anyone said, well, there is a God, I'd say, well, if there is a God, then he's cruel. And I'd bring up all these random facts about how God was cruel. And I'd say, besides, your book is full of contradictions, but I didn't really know where any of the contradictions were. So I started drinking and doing drugs, and over the years, looking back now, I can say that I was angry with God. Though if anyone ever asked me back then, hey, why do you hate God so much? I'm like, I don't hate God. I can't hate someone that doesn't exist. The typical atheist argument. But looking back now, I can say it really was a hatred for God. When I was 18 years old, I went out into my bedroom one day and I found my old Bible sitting there. I hadn't seen it in years, and I said, I'm going to prove this book is full of contradictions. I picked it up and started applying study to it. The same kind of study that I had done for things like evolution. I did accept evolution when I was an atheist as a scientific theory and fact. I'll try and explain that more in detail maybe in some more of my more scientific videos. But creationists really need to stop saying it's just a theory, because it doesn't mean anything. That doesn't hold any valid argument when it comes to evolution. Anyways, and so I started applying that kind of study to the Bible and found I couldn't find any contradictions. I told my atheistic friends about it, but they told me not to really worry about it, but I did worry about it. And so one Wednesday I was sitting outside of a church, and it just so happened that the pastor was on his way to the store when he saw someone sitting outside of his church, and he drove by to see who I was and talked to me for a minute and handed me a pamphlet and said, hey, I'd like you to come to church tonight. It's Wednesday, we're having a church service. I was like, yeah, sure, I'll go. And in my head, I was more like, yeah, right. But then I was kind of like, well, I haven't read this book, and I haven't been finding many contradictions. And if there is a God, then it might be a good thing to know that. So I'm going to go to church. And so I went to church that Wednesday, and nothing happened. And that Sunday morning, I didn't go because that Saturday I had drank and did drugs with my friends and everything, and went that Sunday morning. Or I didn't go that Sunday morning. I went that Sunday evening, and nothing happened. I was just about ready to give up, and someone told me, hey, we're going to have a video on something called creationism on Wednesday, so if you'll come a little bit early, we'd like you to see this. And so I was like, oh yeah, sure, okay, I'll come. Now, I'd never heard of creationism, and for some reason when I tell people that, like that a guy in Mississippi had never heard of creationism before, it just shocks people because they think that like we're learning creationism in school or something. No, we're not. We're learning the exact same curriculum that people up north are learning, maybe a little bit differently. Apparently, teachers don't teach it efficiently here or whatever, but I'd never heard of creationism, and I'd never heard a teacher deny evolution as a scientific fact. And so, to me, it was just more proof that evolution was a scientific fact. So, I came that Wednesday night, saw the video on creationism, and it was something new I'd never heard of before. I didn't actually accept Darwinian means of evolution. I took more of the impact equilibrium, which basically states evolution happens really quickly at certain times in history. And so I did accept a younger Earth, and so a 6,000-year-old Earth with biblical concepts seemed like absolutely plausible to me. And so I started researching this creationism thing, and I found that creationism seemed to have way more validity to it than evolution did. And this was kind of the turning point in my life when I realized, hey, there must be a God. And so I repented of my sins, and I asked God to save my soul. And ever since I was 18, April 18th of 2008, I have been saved. I haven't done any drugs. I haven't done any more illegal activities. I just can't tell you how much Christ changed my life from what I used to be to what I am now. It's just absolutely amazing what God has done in my life. He transformed everything about me, and He gave me a spirit. And so I guess if you say, well, how do you know that there is a God? That's what I would have to say to you. I know that there's a God because He radically transformed my life. I follow His Spirit. I hear what He says, and He leads me. I follow what His commandments are in the Bible. That doesn't mean that I'm perfect. Yes, I still sin, but I don't live in sin like I used to. So, anyways, that's my testimony in a nutshell, and I hope that this blesses someone and that you enjoy it. And so until next time, this is TruthAdviser signing out.